The latest season of Squid Game has just hit the screens, and it has left viewers on the edge of their seats with a massive cliffhanger. Now, all we can do is wait eagerly for the third season to arrive. But while we're waiting, we thought it would be a great idea to revisit everything that's happened in the first 2 seasons to ensure we're fully caught up and ready for whatever comes next. Let's dive straight into the story. The protagonist of the series is Sunday Jian, who starts off as a rather down-on-his-luck individual. Jian is a divorced man who finds himself deep in debt, owing money to dangerous loan sharks and struggling with a severe gambling addiction. However, his life wasn't always like this. Jian was born on the 31st of October, 1974, and raised in Seoul by his mother. As a young man, he had dreams of making it big. After finishing high school, Jian worked at Dragon Motors for 6 years as a part of the assembly team, but his stable life came crashing down when he was unexpectedly laid off from his job. This was a pivotal moment in his life, as at the time, his wife, Kang Yoonji, was pregnant with their child. In an attempt to secure his job, Jian joined his co-workers in striking. However, things took a tragic turn when one of his co-workers lost his life during the strike. On the same day, his daughter was born. In a twist of fate, his baby girl's birth marked the beginning of the unraveling of his life. Jian eventually gave up on the strike and tried to start over by opening a restaurant called Gang's Chicken, named after his daughter, as well as a snack bar. Unfortunately, both businesses failed miserably over the next 5 years, and he had no choice but to work as a chauffeur to make ends meet. Jian's marriage also fell apart, and his wife won custody of their daughter. She remarried shortly after, leaving Jian to move back in with his mother. Feeling unmotivated and overwhelmed by debt, Jian began to spiral into depression. His gambling addiction grew worse, and he would often bet on horse races, usually ending up with nothing. Despite his consistent losses, he couldn't stop gambling, and it became his way of coping with the stress of his life. Things took a turn when, on his daughter's birthday, Jian's mother gave him some money to take her out for a nice meal. However, instead of using the money for its intended purpose, Jian ended up gambling it away. Surprisingly, his final bet paid off big, and he walked away with 4.56 million Korean won. Just as Jian was feeling a sense of victory, the loan sharks found him. In a panic, Jian fled, but in the process, he collided with a woman. Despite the chaos, Jian helped her with her spilled drink before running away again. Eventually, the loan sharks caught up to him, and after a confrontation in a bathroom, they discovered that the woman had stolen his winnings. With all his money gone, the sharks beat him up and gave him a month to repay his debts. But the sharks didn't stop there. They threatened to sell one of his kidneys and eyes as collateral if he failed to pay back the money. Desperate, Jian was left with only 10,000 won, so he took his daughter out for a modest dinner. Though he felt guilty for the mess he had created, his daughter only cared about spending time with her dad. That's when a mysterious salesman approached Jian with a lucrative offer a gamble. The salesman proposed a game of Duck, Gee Duck, a children's game where you throw tiles at your opponent's tail, with the winner receiving 100,000 won. Jian, out of sheer desperation, agreed to play, hoping he could win the money to settle his debt. As expected, Jian lost, unable to pay the amount. However, the salesman was strangely kind and offered him a chance to keep trying, with each loss resulting in a slap across the face instead of a financial penalty. After several attempts and countless slaps, Jian finally managed to win, and the salesman handed him the 100,000 won. The salesman, who turned out to be a recruiter for the Squid Game, revealed that it was a lucrative opportunity to make money. Jian was skeptical at first, but the recruiter reminded him that he was drowning in debt, which shocked Jian-hye didn't realize how much information the man knew about his situation. The recruiter gave Jian a business card and told him to call the number on it as soon as possible, warning him that there were only a few spots left. At home, Jian learned from his mother that his ex-wife was planning to move to the United States with her new husband in the next year. This news hit Jian hard because it meant he had only 1 year left to prove himself and save his relationship with his daughter. Desperate, Jian called the number on the card. He was instructed to meet at a specific location, with the secret code being red light, green light. Jian was picked up by a masked man and transported along with other contestants to a mysterious location. Once there, they were all knocked out with gas. When Jian and the other contestants woke up, they found themselves in a large room filled with bunk beds, all wearing the iconic green jumpsuits. The contestants were being monitored by guards through an array of surveillance cameras, ensuring that no one could escape. The person in charge of the operation, a mysterious figure known only as the front man, was overseeing everything. Contestants had numbers assigned to them, and Jian's number was 456. During his time in the room, Jian encountered familiar face. Sone was Kang Cyborg, the woman who had stolen his gambling winnings, and another was Cho Sang-woo, his childhood friend. The rules of the game were simple. For the next 6 days, the contestants would participate in a series of games. Anyone who lost would be eliminated, and the last person standing would take home the money. The guards explained that, like Jian, all of the contestants had been through a humiliating game of slaps, testing how desperate they were. The stakes were clear. This was a deadly game of survival. Soon after, the first game began in a separate room. A large field was set up with a giant doll at the finish line. The players were told the rules of red light, green light, where they could only move when the doll was singing. If they moved during the red light phase, they would be eliminated. The first game is about to begin in the infamous Squid game. The contestants, all desperate for money, are told they must race to reach the end line within 5 minutes. The rules are simple. Anyone who moves when they aren't supposed to or fails to reach the finish line in time will be eliminated. What seems like a straightforward task soon turns deadly. One contestant, unaware of the gravity of the situation, accidentally moves and is immediately shot. The chaos that follows leaves another player trying to check on the fallen contestant, only to be shot as well. Blood spills onto a third contestant, who screams in horror, causing yet another tragic death. Any movement or sound triggers the sharpshooters stationed in the ceiling. The severity of the game quickly dawns on the players. Elimination means death. Panic sets in as many try to flee in a desperate attempt to survive, but their efforts are futile. The snipers, using motion sensors connected to the doll watching over them, swiftly take out anyone attempting to escape. The survivors are left horrified and traumatized, realizing the deadly nature of the competition. Among the remaining contestants, one player, Gihana, freezes in fear. A body lies in her path, making it impossible for her to move. Eventually, her childhood friend, Jo Sang-woo, reaches her and encourages her to move forward, offering advice like hiding behind a bigger contestant to stay safe. Meanwhile, others manage to make it to the finish line, but Keegan trips over a fallen body and is nearly spotted by the doll. Just in time, another contestant, Ali Abdul, notices him and holds him still, ensuring that they both make it through the deadly game. As the game continues, the reality of their situation becomes clearer. 255 out of the 456 players have died, leaving only 201 alive. The emotional toll is immense. Many of the remaining players beg for mercy, pleading for their lives. However, the guards, who oversee the games, remind them that they will all be eliminated anyway if they choose not to compete, making participation the only viable option for survival. In the midst of all this chaos, Sang-woo reveals that he is the only one with a degree and is quick to decipher a clause in the game's rules. According to the waiver the players signed, there is an option for them to vote on whether to leave the game or continue, but only if a majority agrees. This clause, found in Section 3, could be activated if the players wish to stop playing. Before any votes can be cast, the guards reveal the prize pool. For every death, 100 million Korean won is added to the pool. At that moment, the total prize money has reached a staggering 25.5 billion Korean won, with the potential to rise to 45.5 billion won. This life-changing amount of money is more than enough to solve the severe financial struggles that many of the contestants are facing. However, if the game ends, the remaining funds will be distributed to the families of the deceased. This revelation causes a rift among the remaining contestants, dividing them into two factions: those who wish to continue, lured by the promise of the grand prize, and those who want to leave, still hoping to escape the nightmare. A tense vote takes place, and the outcome is shockingly close. 100 votes in favor of continuing, 101 against. As a result, the players are sent back to their homes, but the horrors they've experienced remain fresh in their minds. The following day, one of the contestants, desperate to report the game to the authorities, tries to alert the police. However, His claims sound unbelievable and lack any concrete evidence, so they are dismissed. At that moment, Detective Hwang Jun-ho, a young officer, overhears the conversation and decides to take matters into his own hands. He embarks on a covert investigation, hoping to uncover more about the game and its organizers, all while searching for his missing brother, Hwang Ho. In his brother's abandoned apartment, Jun-ho finds a business card with a mysterious number on it, which becomes a key clue in his search. Meanwhile, back at the game, the contestants who survived the first round are now faced with the harsh reality of their lives outside the competition. Most of them are in worse financial conditions than before, unable to shake the trauma of the games. The frontman, who oversees the event, had predicted this outcome and sends all of them another invitation to return to the game. The contestants are told that they can come back, and one character, Jeon, returns after learning that his mother is seriously ill and requires a life-saving surgery that he can't afford. His need for money outweighs any moral reservations, and he decides to enter the deadly competition once more. Detective Jun-ho, meanwhile, continues his investigation. He follows one of the vans transporting contestants and ends up at a shipping port. There, he manages to kill one of the guards, dispose of the body, and take his place, infiltrating the Squid Game as an undercover guard. It's soon revealed that every contestant is implanted with a tracking chip, and the games take place on an isolated island, far from civilization. As the remaining contestants settle into their new quarters, alliances begin to form. Jeon reteams with his childhood friend, while others, like Jang Duk-soo, form their own groups with like-minded individuals. On the other hand, some contestants, like the seemingly stoic Cyborg, remain isolated and focused on their individual survival. Cyborg sneaks in a knife, intending to use it for protection, while she also discovers more about the next game. The contestants will have to cut out shapes from a sugar candy, known as dalgona, with only a needle. The game is simple, but it's not as easy as it sounds. The contestants are assigned to a shape and given a brief amount of time to extract it from the candy without breaking it. Song-woo, always calculating, figures out the game's pattern and predicts that the shapes will be a major factor in their success. He keeps this knowledge to himself, but his strategy backfires when his friend Jian picks the most difficult shape, the umbrella. As the game begins, contestants are given 10 minutes to carefully remove the shape from the candy. Many resort to licking the sugar to soften it and make it easier to carve. Jian, with only a second to spare, successfully extracts his umbrella shape, narrowly avoiding elimination. Meanwhile, another player who fails to complete the task resorts to violence, taking a guard hostage in a desperate attempt to avoid death. In a shocking twist, the guard's mask is removed, revealing a young man barely an adult. The hostage taker and the guard are both killed for violating the game's rules, demonstrating that no one is safe, not even the guards. With the game progressing, only 108 contestants remain, and the prize money increases to a jaw-dropping 35 billion yen. The rations for the contestants are severely reduced, leading to a fight between Duk-soo and another contestant. In the heat of the moment, Duk-soo kills the man, and the guards do nothing to intervene. It becomes clear that in this game, players can also kill each other to improve their chances of survival, further compounding the chaos and brutality of the competition. To make matters worse, the prize pool continues to grow, adding 100 million yen for every death. On the third night, the players are left alone in a room with strobing lights, with no guards present. This provides a rare opportunity for the contestants to eliminate one another, and it quickly turns into a bloodbath, with 27 players dead. Amid the carnage, Jun-ho, now posing as a guard, rises in rank to a manager-level position. He continues his investigation, getting closer to unraveling the secrets behind the game. The next challenge, however, is even more grueling: tug of war. The contestants are split into 8 teams of 10, and each team must pull their opponents to their deaths by using all their strength. Jeon and his team, the weakest, face an uphill battle. In a moment of desperation, they decide to lean back completely, hoping to create enough resistance to exhaust the opposing team. Unfortunately, this strategy fails, as the difference in strength is too great. With death looming, the team decides to take a final risk, following a suggestion from Song-woo. Song-woo proposes that they take 3 steps forward and stop suddenly, hoping to throw the opposing team off balance. The plan works, and the other team falters, allowing Jeon and his teammates to pull them over the edge and survive another round. The victory, however, comes with its own set of psychological battles. Song-woo begins to plant doubt in Duk-soo's mind, suggesting that his team members might not be loyal and could turn on him at any moment. Elsewhere, Jian forms a bond with an elderly player who is suffering from a brain tumor. He helps the old man, who seems to represent the last shred of humanity amidst the inhumanity of the game. Meanwhile, Junho's true identity as an undercover investigator is close to being exposed. As he digs deeper into the dark world of organ trafficking within the game, he finds himself in even more danger. At one point, the doctor responsible for the trafficking ring is confronted by the frontman. The doctor, enraged by a lack of information about the next game, kills a guard in a fit of rage. The frontman, without hesitation, kills both the doctor and the guard, reinforcing the ironclad rules of the game. The frontman explains that the game is meant to be fair to everyone, regardless of their misfortunes in life, and any attempt to break the rules undermines its integrity. Junho, still undercover, makes a breakthrough when he finds files detailing the past games. Among these files, the inaugural season of Squid Game plunges viewers into a chilling world where desperation and survival collide. The narrative commences with Sung-woo, a man burdened by debt, participating in a series of enigmatic games. In a heart-wrenching twist during the marbles game, he manipulates Ali, a fellow contestant, into relinquishing his marbles, securing his own survival. Meanwhile, Cyborg emerges victorious in her own marble match, while Tokso's fate remains ambiguous. As the players return to their dormitory, they are met with an unexpected sight. Han Mino, a woman who lacked a partner for the marble game, is peacefully asleep. This anomaly is explained by the frontman, the enigmatic overseer of the games, who reveals that to ensure fairness, any participant without a partner would be spared elimination. This revelation underscores the arbitrary nature of survival within the game's confines. The narrative then shifts to the VIPs, a group of wealthy individuals who observe the games from the comfort of their luxurious lounge. Among them is Junho, a determined police officer who has infiltrated the facility disguised as a waiter. Unbeknownst to him, the frontman has become aware of his true identity after Junho inadvertently drops his police identification. The fifth game, a perilous challenge involving glass stepping stones, commences. The remaining 16 contestants must navigate a treacherous path of glass panels, some of which are fragile and will shatter underfoot, leading to a fatal fall. Adding to the tension, the players are given a mere 16 minutes to reach the finish line. Simultaneously, Junho finds himself in a precarious situation. One of the VIPs, captivated by his presence, leads him to a private room. Exploiting this opportunity, Junho extracts crucial information from the VIP by brandishing a firearm before incapacitating him and making his escape from the facility. Back at the glass stepping stone game, the contestants struggle to discern the safe panels, causing delays that threaten their survival. The situation takes a dramatic turn when Han Mino, in a desperate act, takes Duk-soo down with her, both plummeting to their deaths. With mere seconds remaining, Sung-woo manages to guide Cyborg to safety, while he himself also reaches the other side. However, the ordeal is far from over. As the game concludes, the glass shards explode, and a fragment pierces Cyborg's stomach, inflicting a severe injury. Despite her pain, she administers first aid in the bathroom, desperately trying to stay alive. The surviving trio, Sung-woo, Cyborg, and another contestant, are then treated to a lavish dinner, a stark contrast to the grim realities they have faced. Knives are left on the table, and given, one of the contestants seizes one, intending to kill Sung-woo. However, Sabian intervenes, appealing to Given's conscience and reminding him that he is not a murderer. Jae-hun, another contestant, notices Cyborg's grave wounds and frantically bangs on the door, pleading for medical assistance. The guards arrive, but instead of a doctor, they bring a casket. Given turns around to confront his past, discovering that his best friend had murdered Saburo, the very person who had saved his life on the island. The following day, the frontman himself is in pursuit of Junho. The detective finds himself cornered at the edge of a cliff, with only the sea before him. It is here that the frontman reveals his shocking true identity. He is Junho's missing brother. He explains that he, too, was once a police officer, but ultimately joined the Squid Game. He implores Junho to join him in running the games, but Junho refuses. In a tragic turn of events, Junho is shot in the shoulder and falls into the sea, presumably to his death. The final game, the eponymous Squid Game, commences the next day. The guards' masks are inspired by the shapes used in this traditional Korean children's game. The players are given the choice between offense and defense, and surprisingly, Given chooses offense. The game devolves into a brutal battle, and Given eventually gains the upper hand against Sung-woo, his childhood friend. However, he cannot bring himself to deliver the fatal blow, and instead pleads with Sung-woo to invoke Clause 3, which allows the contestants to end the game if a majority agrees. Sung-woo, however, declines Given's plea and takes his own life, making Given, player number 456, the winner of the Squid Game. Given is returned home, where he has a conversation with the frontman, questioning the motivations behind the games. The frontman coldly replies that it is for the amusement of the wealthy elite, who view the contestants as mere pawns in a twisted form of entertainment, akin to horse racing. The revelation deeply disturbs Given, and he returns home to find his mother dead, alone, and neglected. This tragic event was foreshadowed earlier in the season, when Given swore on his mother's life that he would not ask Cyborg for his money back. A year passes, and Given remains haunted by survivor's guilt, unable to bring himself to spend any of his winnings. He receives a cryptic letter containing an address, leading him to a specific location. There, he encounters Oh Il-nam, the seemingly frail old man from the games, who is now on his deathbed. In a shocking revelation, Oh Il-nam confesses that he was the mastermind behind the Squid Game. He explains that he participated in the games because he knew his death was imminent and wished to relive the carefree joy of his childhood one last time. He reveals that the VIPs are his friends and clients. Oh Il-nam proposes a final bet to Given. If a homeless person outside is helped by someone before midnight, Oh Il-nam will reveal everything about the games. If not, Given must forfeit his winnings. Given, believing in the inherent kindness of humanity, accepts the bet. Just as midnight strikes, someone does indeed offer assistance to the homeless person. However, when Given turns back to Oh Il-nam, he discovers that the old man has passed away, leaving the mysteries of the Squid Game unresolved. Despite his grief, Given uses his newfound wealth to help Kang-se, Byok's brother, entrusting him to Se, Byok's mother, along with a substantial sum of money. He then decides to travel to the United States to reunite with his daughter. Before leaving, he dyes his hair red, a symbolic gesture of his transformation. As Given is about to board his flight at the airport, he witnesses a man being brutally slapped. It is the same recruiter who lured him into the Squid Game. Given chases after the recruiter, who manages to escape. Given retrieves the recruiter's card from the man who was assaulted and proceeds to board his flight. However, the weight of his guilt and the knowledge of the horrors that continue to unfold on the island overwhelm him. Just before boarding, he turns around, resolves to take action, and calls the number on the card, declaring that he is not a horse and that he will put an end to the Squid Game. This cliffhanger marks the conclusion of the first season. The second season of Squid Game picks up immediately after the events of the first. Given is determined to dismantle the organization behind the games and seeks to gather more information. He discovers a tracker implanted in his body and removes it. Meanwhile, Junho, who was shot and fell into the sea, is found by local fishermen and taken to a hospital. He spends nearly a year recovering, only to be demoted to a traffic police officer due to his unexplained disappearance. Despite his demotion, Junho remains resolute in his pursuit of the Squid Game, dedicating his personal time to locating the island where the games are held. Back in Seoul, Given is haunted by the trauma of the Squid Game, experiencing vivid hallucinations of the frontman and the deceased contestants. He resolves to find the recruiter, believing that he holds the key to uncovering the truth. Using his winnings, he hires a group of individuals to assist him in his search and capture the recruiter. The recruiter, undeterred, continues his sinister work, preying on the vulnerable. He presents potential recruits with a choice between a lottery card and a button to eat. All the lottery cards are rigged to be empty, and after most people choose the lottery, he callously discards the food, blaming them for his wastefulness. Eventually, Given's hired team locates the recruiter. A chase ensues, during which some of Given's men are captured and killed. Given finally confronts the recruiter, who forces him to play a game of Russian roulette. In a shocking turn, the recruiter ends his own life, leaving Given alive, but without his primary lead. Adding to the complexity, Junho arrives at the scene, and mistaking Given for an accomplice of the Squid Game, points a gun at him. However, one of Given's investigators knocks Junho unconscious from behind, and they detain him in a bathtub. They explain to Junho that Given shares his goal of ending the Squid Game, and the two form a temporary alliance. Junho, however, withholds the fact that he knows the frontman's true identity. The season introduces a new character, Kang No-yeol, a former North Korean soldier who becomes involved in the Squid Game, not as a contestant, but as part of the firing squad responsible for eliminating those who fail to complete tasks. Meanwhile, Given and Woo-suk, one of his hired investigators, embark on a mission to infiltrate the Squid Game base. They obtain information from the person whose card was found on the recruiter, leading them to a Halloween party. Their infiltration attempt goes awry, and Given is captured along with the man who provided the information. This man, surprisingly, agrees to re-enter the Squid Game, openly declaring his intention to destroy it from within. While this decision appears reckless, it is likely the most viable option for him, given the potential dangers of being held captive by the front man. Furthermore, he reveals that he had replaced one of his teeth with a fake one containing a tracking chip. Given awakens in the bunker room, where the first game, Red Light, Green Light, is about to begin. He tries to warn the other contestants about the deadly nature of the games, but they dismiss his claims. It is only when the first person is eliminated that panic ensues. Given manages to guide some of the contestants to safety, and the season introduces new players, including Myung, a former YouTuber seeking funds after a crypto scam scandal, and Thanos, a rapper burdened by debt and addicted to pills. As more contestants begin to believe Given's warnings, he invokes the third clause to attempt to halt the games. However, the vote results in a tie until player 001, who is revealed to be the frontman himself, appears. The frontman has infiltrated the game, actively seeking to undermine Given's efforts. Simultaneously, Junho and Yusuka, another of Given's investigators, use the tracking device embedded in the fake tooth to locate the island. They arrive at the shore of an island, where the tracker is found inside a fisherman's boat. This discovery coincides with the start of the first game, and Given realizes that the game organizers had thoroughly examined his body, removing the tracker but leaving the fake tooth intact. Given informs the other contestants that the next game is Dalgona, but it turns out to be a different game called Six-Legged Pentathlon. This discrepancy erodes the trust the other contestants had placed in Given, as they suspect he is playing mind games. Despite the confusion, Given and his core group of allies manage to survive. The subsequent game is a mingle, where players step onto a rotating platform in the arena. When the platform stops, a number is called out, and players must form groups of that number and enter designated rooms. The rooms close after 30 seconds, and anyone who fails to enter a room on time or is in a room with the wrong number of people is eliminated. This game forces the contestants to rely on each other, leading to moments of vulnerability and emotional connection. Another vote is held after the Six-Legged Pentathlon, but it fails to pass due to some contestants wanting the game to continue, further dividing the group and increasing tensions. This culminates in a violent confrontation in the bathroom, turning into a bloodbath that was likely to erupt in the main room anyway. The guards intervene after 5 deaths and force everyone to sleep. Meanwhile, Junho is aboard a ship with a small crew hired by Given. Captain Park, however, is revealed to be a mole who sabotages their drone. One of Given's hired men discovers this treachery, but is silently stabbed and thrown overboard. The next and final game of the season is a surprise game, similar to the previous one. There are no guards present, and the players are free to kill each other, even within their own groups. Given initially refrains from intervening, rationalizing that this sacrifice is necessary to end the madness of the Squid Game. When the game concludes, and the guards arrive to assess the casualties, Given and his group feign death and then attack the guards closest to them, seizing their weapons and preparing for a coup d'etat. A fierce battle erupts between Given's group and the guards, with Given's group gaining the upper hand. The guards are ordered to retreat, as they would only provide more ammunition to the rebels. Internal conflicts arise within Given's group, and he appeals for help to end the game. Only a few join him, including the undercover frontman. They receive basic combat training from Hyunju, a former sergeant. They use a hostage to attempt to reach the admin office but are ambushed. After fighting their way through and acquiring more ammunition, they encounter even greater resistance, forcing them to hold their position. The hostages are killed, and Given and Jangbai decide to press forward to find a way to the admin room, while the rest of the group tries to buy them time. They discover a secret passage and face further resistance. The group holding the back lines suffers casualties. Over the radio, Given calls for backup to assist their advance. Jion gives Given his last match, believing that more ammunition will arrive. However, the ammunition never reaches them. One of the rebels, kills the backup and pretends to have been shot, claiming that everyone is dying, luring out Guy Hunt, another rebel. The frontman orders the guards to round up everyone, and all the rebels are killed except for Kim Ja, who had gone back for the ammunition and was convinced to hide by another player. Given and Jang Bi surrender and are confronted by the frontman. Jian and the others remain unaware of the frontman's true identity as Junho. The frontman coldly states that this is what Jian gets for playing hero and shoots Jang Bi in the head, leaving Jian to watch helplessly and scream. Junho is taken captive, and the season concludes with a chilling scene where more players are forced to participate in a game of red light, green light, this time with 2 giant dolls overseeing the deadly game. This cliffhanger sets the stage for the highly anticipated 3rd season, rumored to be released on the 27th of June of the current year.